Hello and welcome back to J.P.s Retro World. I, well, you know who I am. I'm your man, J.P. I mean, that's the way this works. I host the channel, you watch, and okay, so today we are continuing on with our Wrestlemania series, and the reason why I'm doing these is just because Wrestlemania has always been a huge part of my existence. It's literally, you know, the industry calls it like the Super Bowl of wrestling, and it really is. We always looked forward to WrestleMania Sunday, but now it takes place over the course of 2 days because it's just so big. They can't fit it all in one night. But anyway, last time we talked about WrestleMania 13 and 14, which was 97 and 98. But today, I'm going to talk about just the next one, and then I'll do another video talking about the one after that. But it's 1999. We are in full swing in the Attitude Era, and so I wasn't really watching WWF at this time. I was primarily a WCW guy, but I kind of tuned in and out of WWF just to kind of keep up and with what was going on and everything. But yeah, so WrestleMania 15, 1999, and here's the DVD. I actually have a DVD of this one, but funny thing is, this is actually the very first DVD that I ever owned. And what's funny is, I owned the DVD before I actually had a DVD player. That's just kind of the backwards way I do things and I live my life. I also had a Hasbro WWF ring before I even had any wrestlers. So, go figure. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, WrestleMania 15, full swing Attitude Era. Obviously, for those of you that have been watching this channel for a while, know this. I was not as much into the Attitude Era as I was the previous era. And but yeah, I'm looking at the back of this. You can see there's a list of matches. So obviously the main event was Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Now they had a match early on in the evening to determine who would be the referee in the main event, and it was Big Show versus Mankind, in which Mankind won by disqualification, but he was injured, had to rush to the hospital. So when it came time for the match, WWF Commissioner Shawn Michaels appointed a regular referee for the match. But during the course of the match, the referee got knocked out, so Mankind came back down and resumed his role as the guest referee in this match, allowing Stone Cold Steve Austin to prevail. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I know some people think that Stone Cold and The Rock was an exciting rivalry, and a lot of people got a lot out of it. But like I said, I'm weird. I'm different. I didn't really care for it as much. I was more into the WCW side of things. I was more interested in like Sting versus Hogan, or the NWO split, or Goldberg, Kevin Nash, guys like that. But they also had the finals for the Brawl for All tournament, which was a terrible idea. It was probably the worst idea in the history of wrestling. It was like a shoot fight tournament where wrestlers would put their bodies and their health in jeopardy in order to just prove who's tougher. And for an industry that tells stories, that's not really a good idea. But Bart Gunn ended up winning the Brawl for All tournament, but then he fought Butterbean, and he lost big time. Like, he didn't even have a chance. Butterbean just destroyed him. So, yeah, Val Venus, Goldust, Road Dogg, and Ken Shamrock. Well, actually, I guess it's a fatal four-way. Actually, it was Road Dogg, Val Venus, Ken Shamrock, and Goldust for the Intercontinental title. So, Triple H versus Kane. I guess they had a rivalry going where China was kind of put in the middle, where China was kind of siding with Kane. But during this match, she turned on Kane and went with Triple H, who was part of the $1 million, or not the Million Dollar Corporation. That was Ted DiBiase thing, but part of Vince McMahon's corporate team, I guess. Okay, then we had Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett with Deborah taking on D'Lo Brown and Test. Whatever. B.A. Billy Gunn versus Hardcore Holly versus Al Snow triple threat hardcore title. Sable versus Tori. Yeah. European title Shane McMahon versus X-Pac. I like X-Pac, but I don't know. So yeah, and then of course there was the main event, but there was also a notorious, infamously terrible match. It was a Hell in a Cell match, and it was The Undertaker and Big Boss Man. It was notoriously bad. Funny thing is Edge tells a story about, because he was part of the Brood, and they were sort of in line with The Undertaker being part of that whole dark character gang. But, Edge, Christian, and Gangrel were lowered by cords from the ceiling, and they helped Undertaker defeat Big Boss Man, and they lowered a noose down into the ring to where Undertaker could literally hang the Big Boss Man, and as they lifted up the cage, Big Boss Man would hang there, and he was just kind of dangling there as if he was, dead. But Edge tells a story about how the mechanism that was supposed to lift him up wasn't working, so basically he was just dangling there for all to see. Apparently, obviously, they eventually did get it fixed, and he was eventually lowered down. But anyway, that was just kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, 1999, WrestleMania 15. Meh. That's kind of my review of that WrestleMania. Like I said, I was not really watching WWF in that time. I didn't really like a lot of the characters they were using. Being a conservative Christian man, I was a teenager at the time, but I wasn't into things. I'm still not really into things that are vulgar or obscene, or especially not in my wrestling program. I'm an old school wrestling fan. I like wrestling stories that are just a wrestler versus another wrestler, and characters are fine if they're not just obscene characters. If it's not like a porn star or a sexual chocolate type character or a pimp or things like I wasn't really into that. And I know WWF made a lot of money back then, and everybody made a lot of money, and I'm really happy for them that they made that money during that time. But personally, I wasn't into it as much as WCW. Anyway, that is going to do it for WrestleMania 15. Hope you liked it. And again, this is just my take. This is just my opinion of that particular event. I thought it was, I thought all of the events back then were kind of lackluster, to be honest with you. So anyway, if you are new, please take the time to go ahead and like the video, give it a thumbs up, take the time to subscribe. That helps me out as well, and I will definitely see you next time.